Thank you all for coming today for Instagram for Novices with the wonderful Nalini. As you know, all our programs are made possible by your generous donations to the Friends of the Darien Library campaign, and we thank you all for being here to learn about Instagram. So without that, with further ado, I'll hand it over to Nalini.
All right, thanks, Susan. Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Nalini Gulsaran. I run a local digital marketing agency here in Stamford. I work with small businesses and nonprofits on how they grow their business, but a lot of my clients are still new to technology and I spend a lot of time teaching. And so today we're going to go over how to use Instagram for novices. The idea behind today's class is you've signed up for an Instagram account, you've got the app on your phone, but how do you use this thing, right? That's a lot of times people get it. My dad signed up for Instagram and he's like, I have no idea how to use this thing. You can't figure out what the buttons do, where they are, how they work. So what I'm going to do today, as with some of my other classes, I'm going to start with a lecture, and we're going to talk a little bit about just showing you what the buttons are and where they are with screenshots, just because once I get into the demo, you're not going to be able to see me when I'm tapping on things. I'll be able to guide you to them, and then you'll be able to kind of reference them and know what I'm talking about, where the buttons are, because there's lots of buttons all over the place, and we need to know what to do with them. So I'm going to jump right in. Today we're scheduled for about an hour and a half. My goal is to be done within an hour, but we still have 30 minutes for Q&A if you still want to stick around, have specific questions and things like that. And as we go, please feel free to throw your questions into the chat and I will grab them as we're going. All right, so here's what we're going to cover today as part of just kind of what I'm going to talk through. What are the features and all the buttons on Instagram? What is the difference between your Insta story and your feed? How do you post a video or a photo to the feed and to your Insta story? We're going to talk a little bit about what hashtags are and how you use them. And then when I get into the demo, I'm actually going to show you how to create a post with hashtags and tagging other accounts. I'm going to show you how to create an Instagram story with stickers, and I'll explain what those are. I will also show you how to find and follow and unfollow people or accounts, brands, whatever it is you're looking for, hashtags even. And then lastly, I'm going to go over how to use your direct messages. I do get that question a lot. Someone sent a DM. How do I get a DM? Where is it? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Okay. So let's first talk about Instagram. What are the features? What are the buttons? And how do you use it? So again, this is on the assumption that you already have signed up for Instagram, you have it on your phone, you're logged in, and then kind of now what, right? So when you log into Instagram, let's talk about navigation. On the right side of the screen, this is what your profile page looks like. This is a screenshot of my profile from a few months ago, and you can see it has the name Edge Space Marketing, what I am because I'm a business, so it says consulting agency. There's a little bio. There's a link that links to classes and workshops, and then of course a location. And again, lots of buttons on this page. So when we talk about how we modify your profile, there's a big button right on your profile page that says edit profile. Believe it or not, it's easy to miss because everything else you have to go into a sub menu or somewhere else to find it, but editing your profile, you find it right on the profile page. On my page, you also see buttons that say promotions and insights. You'll only see those two if you're a creator or if you're a business account. So as a personal user, which most people are, you will not see promotions and insights, so don't worry about that. What you'll probably see is edit profile and contact. In the upper right side of your profile page, where there's a blinking arrow on the presentation, there's on my phone, it's 3 lines. And so this is an Android phone. I'm going to quickly look at my iPhone in case there's iPhone users on the call and just make sure I'm guiding you in the right place, because unfortunately the Android and the iPhone instances of Instagram are laid out a little differently. So on the profile page, it's in the same spot. So I'm looking at an iPhone, and in the upper right side of the screen, there's 3 lines on your profile page. And those 3 lines is how you get to your archive, bookmarks. If you're shopping on Instagram and you need to check out, things like your settings and your notification, privacy, all of those are handled within those 3 lines. Those menus are always changing, but that's kind of a high level of what's in there. On the bottom, if you can see what's blinking on the bottom of the screen, is where we have what's called a navigation pane. And so if you've opened up Instagram for the first time, it's not going to default to your profile page. So how do you get here? So starting on the way left, the very first button is shaped like a house. If you can see the blinking arrow on the screen, and that is your home page. That is where your feed is. That is where your Insta stories are going to be for the people that you follow. And that's where you kind of get started most times. Next to that is what's called your Discover feed. It's the search glass, the spyglass. It's on the bottom of your screen. That is where, if you're exploring Instagram and Instagram is trying to figure out what is it you like. And that's specifically because Instagram wants to keep you in the app as long as possible. So in order to do that, it is curating content based on your activity. So pages that you like, pages that you follow, content that you're looking at. It's looking at all of that and it's coming up with other content that it thinks you're going to be interested in. And that's where you discover new things, new account, new feeds, all of that's happening in your Discover feed. The very next button is a plus sign. That's this dead center of the bottom of your screen. And the plus sign is where you're going to add a post, which is either a photo, video, and I said, or IGTV. It should also say, or a reel. I'm not going to cover Instagram Reels today because honestly, it's new and I'm still learning it myself. So I wouldn't have any answers for you on how to use it. I've seen it in action, but I'm still learning how to use it myself. So the next time I teach this class, we'll add Instagram Reels to the list of things how we can do. So as you go through it, that's also where you would, when you add your post, that's going to your feed. I just want to be clear that these are posts that you're adding to your feed, not posts you're adding to your Insta story. You're doing that by the plus sign. Very next to that is a little heart icon. The heart icon is where your notifications are. And this is where you get notified if people have liked your content, if you have new followers, if somebody is tagged you in something. Those things are all in that notification pane, which is a little heart icon. And then the very last icon is your profile. That's how you get to your Instagram profile. In my case, there's my logo is what you see there. On my personal profile, it's a picture of my face because that is what I have set as my profile picture. So this icon on the bottom of the screen where your profile is will match whatever your actual profile photo is. And so before I jump ahead, I want to kind of pause here and see if there's any questions in the chat. If I've not lost you yet. Okay, so nothing in the chat. All right, let's jump on. So now we're going to navigate within Instagram a little bit. So this is what your home page would look like. Home screen, home page, whatever you're more comfortable calling it. And this is, again, a screenshot from a few weeks ago or a few months ago. And as you can see here, when the highlight works, your navigation pane is on the bottom. That doesn't change no matter where you go in Instagram. In those 5 screens, that navigation pane won't change. When you go into other places like your Insta stories and your settings, then the navigation pane disappears. But as long as you're within one of those 5, your navigation pane will remain on the bottom. At the very, very top, where you see my logo is on the left, which is my profile photo, and then there's all these other things happening with circles, that's where your Insta story is. And the Insta story are Instagram posts that you post to your Insta story and they disappear after 24 hours. Couple of things to note about that is that things you're in your Insta story, they scroll from left to right. So they go across the top is sometimes how people refer to it. So your Insta stories go across the top and your feed goes up and down. And just to kind of recap that, your feed is something that you post to your profile that stays there until you actually delete it. And your Insta story goes across the top and that will disappear automatically after 24 hours, or you can delete it earlier if you want to, but it will automatically disappear after 24 hours. At the very, very top left side of your screen, there is a little camera icon, and I'm hoping you can see on the presentation a little blinking arrow pointing at that. That camera icon is how you start a new post to your Insta story. And when we get into the demo, I'll actually show you how your phone changes and what that looks like. On the opposite side of the screen, from the little camera icon, is a little arrow. And in my case, my arrow has a little number 1 on it. That is where your DMs are. It's your direct messages. It's where when people share posts with you, if people send you a message, you can even share a profile. I do it often with a friend of mine that we both love cooking blogs, and we'll share profiles like, check out this latest blog so you can see some of the recipes and things like that. And then what I've kind of highlighted here is the entire feed. As you can see, the big square, that is your feed that is going up and down. And so within that, there's now more mini navigations. So right underneath a post, and for those of you who are Facebook users, this might look a little familiar. Underneath it, you've got a little heart icon, right? This is where you can tap the heart icon, or you can double tap the post to like it. The next icon is where you can comment. Now there's 2 places you can comment. You actually see it says add a comment, or you can actually click the comment icon, the little comment bubble, and that's where you would add it will open up this panel for you to add a comment. The very next one looks like an arrow that is exactly the same as your DM arrow, and that's where you can share it. Depending on your profile, and if that post is public, you can share it to your Insta story, or you can share it with people, like as in someone that you know in Instagram that you think something's funny or interesting or just something you want them to look at. You can do that using that share icon. On the very next side of the screen of that, you have the bookmark, which looks like a bookmark, right? It's a little square with a triangle underneath. And this is where if you want to save this for later. So suppose there is something informational here, or it's just interesting and you need to share it, or excuse me, save it. For some reason, you can save it to a bookmark section. And when we get into the demo, I'll show you how to get to your bookmarks, because they've kind of moved that around, and it's almost counterintuitive where you find it. So I'll make sure that I show you where you find your bookmarks that you've saved. And I'm going to apologize because I see one of my arrows disappeared, but directly above this blinking arrow at the top of the post, there are 3 little dots. And when we get into the demo, I'll show you that. But the 3 little dots give you more options on that post. That's where you can turn on post notification, meaning, for example, Humans of New York did a series in the last couple weeks about a lady who had just a very interesting life in New York. And they did it as a series of 9 posts. And I didn't want to miss one of the chapters because I didn't want to read them out of order. I turned on post notifications. So I got a notification on my phone that blipped every time they posted. Because normally you wouldn't get notified that somebody posted unless you turn on those post notifications. So it kept me abreast of, oh, a new chapter's out, I should go read that. And so I could keep up with the story. So before we jump into the next section, just want to stop again, make sure there's no other questions before we move on. Okay.
All right, so if there's no scroll at the top for a story, that means you haven't started a story yet?
Repeat the question for me, please, Christina.
If there's no, can you see my cursor?
No.
Probably not. Okay.
Yeah.
Where your story or the Insta story starts, since I haven't started any story, I shouldn't have anything like that at the top. Would that be correct?
No, that's actually not correct. So what you're seeing here is all these other circles, right, that are going across the top. Those are what other people have shared. So that.
Oh, no, okay, I see mine. Yep, never mind. I got it. Cool.
Yeah, yours would actually be, see where my E is and there's a blue plus sign?
Yeah, my photo is finally there, and your story, I don't know if it just popped up or whatever, but
sometimes there's a little delay. And okay. But usually what you'll see, and I'll show you guys on the demo, you see how these have these little red and orange ring around it? Your picture will have a red and orange ring around it once you post your first story. And for those who are a little familiar with this, you can start your Insta story from this plus sign. The reason I didn't show you that is because once you do the first one, that plus sign disappears, and then you have to know to click this little camera. So it's just become a habit for me to just use the camera instead of the plus sign, because you do it the first time, your plus sign disappears. Now what? Go ahead.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Do you have a personal and a professional Instagram?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, because I was doing this for professional reasons, and all of a sudden now I have my face, and you know, that's
Yeah,
not what
now
I
there's
wanted,
two.
so.
So tomorrow I'll actually just close that. Tomorrow I'm teaching Instagram for business, and I'll put the information out there. So in case
Oh,
you,
is that through the library also?
that's actually through the Ferguson Library, but
Oh, okay.
we'll probably teach it through the Darien Library too at some point, right, Susan?
All right. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to
it's
take
okay.
up all your time.
No, it's okay. It's important because once you learn how to use Instagram, you strategically want to use your personal account different than how you use your professional account. Here's what's going to happen. Your personal account will always be curated for your needs, stuff you like, content you want to see. Your business Instagram, you're trying to reach other people. So you're going to be liking and following things that you really don't care for as much. And so it could really, unfortunately, to say it like my other clients say it, my business Instagram feed is a little trash. They just don't like what they see. And I understand that because it's not meant for your personal consumption. It's for you to reach other people to consume your content. So you use it functionally the same, but strategically different. So now we're going to talk about a hashtag. And I have a whole section on hashtags because I get a lot of questions just generally about the hashtag. So I want to take a minute to just kind of talk about what it is. So actually going back for a second, most people recognize the hashtag, it's the number sign or pound sign. So when I first started saying hashtag, they go, what is that? I'm like, the number symbol. They're like, oh, I know what that is. Or I know what a pound sign is. So that's what your hashtag is. But the way it works is that it's a way to categorize and group similar content together within Instagram. And the reason this is important is because Google has taught us we can put anything on the internet and it can get found. And while that is true, there is some art to how it gets found. On Instagram, however, it doesn't work the same way. If you post about doggies, but then you don't actually use the hashtag dogs or dogs of Instagram, it won't be found by other people who are interested in dogs. And let's say you want to get even more specific. Let's say you're into Yorkies or your dog is a Yorkie and you want to reach other Yorkie lovers. You want to use the hashtag dogs of Instagram and the hashtag Yorkies so that you can reach those people. Otherwise, they won't see your content unless it just happens to be your close friend or family that's already following you. And even then they may not see it because Instagram, they look for people who are using the features to show it to other people. They kind of pick and choose how their algorithm's working, so how stuff's displaying. So here's a couple things that, in terms of nuances of how you use it. When you place a hashtag in front of a word or a phrase, you turn that particular term into a clickable link. So for those of you who have seen it in action, it's not always one word. It's actually multiple words. Like for example, dogs of Instagram is one hashtag without any spaces. Once you put in a space or a period, the hashtag ends wherever the space or the period is. So if you want to say dogs of Instagram, no spaces. If you said hashtag dogs of space Instagram, wherever that space is where your hashtag breaks. The reason this is important is because within Instagram, only hashtags are clickable links in post. So oftentimes you'll see people that'll say, oh, click this link to get to my blog or click this link to order something. And then you're like, it doesn't work. I can't copy it. I can't click it. I can't do anything with that link because Instagram has made it that only hashtags are clickable within the link. What you'll see instead, people might say, click the link in my bio because only links in your bio are clickable. So that's why in my bio, it says classes and workshops, because that's where I want you to go check for my most recent classes and workshops, the thing that makes sense. But for every person, every business might be different. So an example of that for a personal user could be you are doing peer-to-peer fundraising for the library, right? A lot of us are fundraise for different causes, and you might want to link to that fundraiser from your Instagram page, and you do that from your bio. And then lastly, on that is that when users click on that link, it'll take them to a page that displays all the posts that use that link in chronological order. So it'll actually start with the first set being top, which means those are the best performing images for that hashtag. And that's usually about 6 to 9. And then beneath that, it's in chronological order with the most recent first. And so things that are high trending, you'll see lots of posts about it, and things that are niche, meaning they might be very specific. So for example, an example of that is you've got dogs of Instagram, that's very broad reaching. A lot of people use it. It's probably got millions of hashtags using it. Your keys of Instagrams may also have millions, but Dogs of Instagram, let's say, has 10 million. Your keys of Instagram may have 1 million. And then if you get really, really specific, what if you said your keys of Darien? That's really, really niche and really, really specific. So you might find your neighbors who are interested in your keys, right? And that might only have 50 or 60 hashtags using it. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's just about making sure your hashtags are relevant to your post and it helps you get other people to see your stuff. Now, if you have your page private and you don't really care, then it's not a big deal. But if you're in business or you just want your stuff seen more, this is very important. And then here's the question, why do I need to use them, right? And the first thing is that it allows your stuff to be seen by other people. So again, if you're in business or you're just somebody that you don't mind your profile being public and you just want to share with the world and you want to connect with other, you know, whether it's dog or food or business or travel, like there's lots of reasons and rhymes why people use Instagram, and your interests collide with other people often. And so the whole idea is to help you be digitally social. And that's what the whole point of a hashtag is. And then also for those who are doing this for engagement, like if you're doing it for business, or if you're trying to become an influencer, or just generally, people like likes, you get more likes and comments and shares if you use hashtags because more people will see it. So there's a whole art to that. And that's where the Instagram for business class comes in and being strategic. And that's a whole hour in itself to talk about how to find the right hashtag. What I will say is that when you do use your hashtags, it's all about what's relevant for you, right? It doesn't have to be overthinking and all of that. And when I show you, I'm actually going to create a post, put some hashtags, you'll see how you can come up with them. All right. Before I get into the demo, I do want to pause again to give you guys a chance to ask any questions before we get into the live demo.
I have a question. What is the purpose of an Insta story?
The Insta story, it gives you a chance to share stuff that you might not want to stick around permanently. So for example, I'll tell you a real story. A few weeks ago, I started on Sundays as my meal prep Sunday, right? And a couple of my cousins were like, what are you cooking? I want to see. And I didn't feel like texting it to everybody. So I put it in my Insta story because it's not something that I really care to share for on a regular basis, but I wanted them to see this is what I'm cooking. And then I kind of went through some prep steps and then final product. I think I set the table. There were a couple of steps. And then that was it. They disappeared after 24 hours because I'm not a food blogger and it's not something I want on my page. My personal page I do for art, my dance classes, those kind of stuff. So then it happened 2 more weeks where my cousins were like, what are you cooking? And to the point that I actually had somebody DM me on Sunday saying, hey, I can't wait to see what you're cooking today. Now I've kind of started a thing that I have to continue. So, I started my own trend for myself, and it allows people use it to give insight into their lives about where they are, what are they doing. But because it disappears after 24 hours, some people feel a little bit more comfortable sharing. So folks with young children sometimes are concerned about just posting publicly about their children, but they might sneak in a post that'll disappear after 24 hours because it gives them a little bit more comfort. Another reason people use it is because the trends are showing more and more people are using the Insta stories as opposed to the feed, because the Insta stories are absolutely in chronological order. The feed is, no one knows what the algorithm is for the feed. Why things show up from 4 days ago are showing up now, and somebody just posted something and I can't see it. I never saw it. The whole feed gets kind of annoying. And so people find that the Insta stories are more interesting, also because people are showing less curated and more like this is the real life of what's going on.
Do businesses use an Insta story? Is there a strategy for that too? Okay.
Yeah, and particularly for businesses, it's really, people want to know kind of what's going on behind the scenes. People are inherently nosy. I hate to say it, human nature. People just want to know. Like if I were to use mine more effectively, and especially before the pandemic, I could have been like, hey guys, I'm in my car heading off to blah, 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 check in with you later. But I'm not vain enough to do that. Like, it's just not who I am. Sometimes I think back about, I have really interesting days. And people want to know, what do you do all day? I could take them through it, but my days, I always say my days are boring. I teach classes, I work on websites, I plan social media, and I have tons of meetings. No one wants to see that, but it's amazing how many people actually do, right? Other businesses tend to show like kind of tips and tricks. So I've seen like a carpenter can say, this is how you miter at home for your little projects that you're doing. Like I do follow a lot of DIY people, and the DIY people, they use it a lot to show kind of tips and tricks as they're working on projects.
Or maybe an architect wants to show progress.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. It's great for like, especially as things are progressing. Here's where we were today. Here's where we're there. There was one that I was following a construction company, and they literally went through like 4 days of showing us what the progress of us. It was a new sidewalk with new steps and a railing. They never showed the final product. I kind of felt left hanging. I was like, wait, I'm invested. And that's kind of what you want. You want to create that, but
That's
then
great.
don't not show them, because I literally DM them, can I see the final product? I feel left like on a cliffhanger.
Okay, all right. That sounds great.
I have a question. Can you
Okay.
just talk a little bit about the difference between Instagram and Facebook for those of us who already do Facebook? And is Instagram, I've always thought of it like more pictures. Is it not supposed to be a lot of verbiage and words?
Yeah, Instagram was originally designed to be very picture centric. Now, what you'll find on Instagram, and I'm actually going to go back in the slides really quick to see this post here. If you can see in the presentation, he's got a photo. This is a insurance agency out of Norwalk, right? So Caesar, and Caesar has, this is his photo, and this is actually, it's in Spanish, but when you click more, you see the whole post, and you'll also see the translation. And what he was talking about was, here are some, he was actually giving insurance tips during the pandemic. He still is, and he has a podcast. And so it's primarily for photos with a small caption. If you're writing a really long dissertation, most people aren't reading it on Instagram, unfortunately. It's just kind of, we have 3 seconds is kind of the rule of thumb to get their engagement and convince them to stick around. I find myself doing it too. People send me things, whether it's post or they actually like text it to me. And if I see that it's more than 5 minutes long, I give up. I don't have the patience. It has to be super, super interesting and compelling for me to watch for 5 minutes. It's that Instagram and Facebook and social media has retrained our brains for that instant gratification. And unfortunately, I am guilty, where if it's longer than 3 minutes, the chances of me watching it are minimal, right? In terms of the difference between Instagram and Facebook, because it's more photo driven, you'll find that you won't find a lot of, it takes more work for people to share their opinion on things. So you see less of the type of stuff that you see on Facebook, which is particularly now is very political. You still see it. And that's where, and I'll admit, if you look at my personal profile, that's where I post my views to my Insta story. I'm not flooding my profile with it. I'm putting in my Insta story so people can get, it's a lot of it is informational. That's what I feel like sharing. I have friends that post their absolute opinion. You can also do that too. And also your Insta stories, where you can do only text-based if you wanted. If you wanted to rant, you can, with your thumbs, type out your entire rant in your Insta story without any photo. That is also possible. And so people who like Instagram, like myself, because it's photo-based and because it's, you get the Insta stories, you get more insights into people's lives. And I'm nosy. We're all nosy. It's just kind of what it is, right? As far as the Insta stories go. And as far as the posts go, I see less things that could cause anxiety or cause issues. Like I even use Instagram to catch up on the news. A lot of the news outlets are using it to just show like, here's some, they don't just give you the headline, but they also give you enough information in 3 seconds or 3 minutes that you're like, oh, I understand what's going on without it just being a headline. So, and it also saves you if you don't want to read the comments from the opinions. You still have internet trolls on Instagram like you do on Facebook. So you would be mindful of the comments if the comments are something that can be upsetting.
Thank you.
No problem. I think, Lee, you're trying to ask a question. Hold on, let me unmute you. 1 second, Lee. You should get a pop-up asking you to unmute. There you go.
Yeah, now. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Great. Okay, going to the instant story, I do a lot of photography.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to take a picture out the window today, and I could put that on a story and say, I just took this picture. Mm-hmm. And then 24 hours later, it's gone. People can comment on that. Am I correct on that? Or is it saved any place?
It's saved for you in your archive. So Instagram will archive it for you, and depends on your setting. I have my setting set to every time I post to Instagram, it downloads to my phone. So I have the full shot of whatever I did. And I'll show you in the Insta story, like if you take a photo that's beautiful and you want to keep the photo without any stickers or anything on it, you have to download it first, and there's a button for that. Then you can go put all your stickers and your features on it for your Insta story, because that's what makes Insta stories fun. There's jiffies and location, date, time. Like one of the things I kept telling myself is every morning, regardless of the temperature, I go for a 3-mile walk unless it rains. And there have been many mornings where it's 40 degrees. And for those who know me, I do not like the cold. So it's something that I'm like, look, I'm going for my walk and it's cold, but I never take the picture and I never actually remember, because I'm just trying to get out the door. Right. But for some people, it's important. They want, like for me, I'd want to put the thermometer on there with the temperature. So, you know, like I'm still doing this and it's really, really cold outside. Right. And so, yes. And so it's in your archive, but it will be archived with all those little stickers if you put it on there. So you just have to remember to download it first before you put.
Right. You could use it from your library as well. If I took a picture yesterday and I thought, oh, I should post that today.
Absolutely.
I could hook that to the story. It's up for 24 hours. It gets all this little thingies on it. And then I could save that too. That's automatically archived. Am I correct on that?
It should be. We'll look at the settings, because sometimes they change that, but it should automatically archive. I know on my phone, because my settings have been set up for so long, it does archive, but I don't want to tell you that and then you have to turn it on first.
Okay.
So we'll make sure we turn that on. The other thing that people do that's like, so the Insta stories, you can also put location in. I am notorious for posting to my Insta story 24 hours after the fact, because I don't actually want people to know where I really am.
Right.
So I will take the photos, but then I'll pull it from my library and share it days later, or one day, or like even a few hours after I've already left the location, because I want people to know where the location is for whatever reason, but I don't want them to know I'm still there. So it helps, like, there are people who are concerned about stalking and just kind of privacy issues. And so if you delay when you post it, you save some of that.
Great. Good. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions before we jump into the demo? All right, I'm going to stop sharing here. So just bear with me as it's a little nuanced. One second. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing on the computer. And for those of you who have noticed in the participant window, there's 2 of me. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my phone screen with you. And I'm actually going to go through and I'm going to create a post with hashtags and tagging people. And then we're going to get into Insta stories. And then lastly, how to find, follow, and unfollow people. And if we still have time and there's anything else you want to see or see again, we can definitely do that. So bear with me here. So I'm going to share my phone screen. All right, so this is my home screen. I have an Android, as I mentioned before, so my screen is going to look different, and every Android looks a little different. This little it's little gray arrow on the left is Zoom, so don't let that confuse you when we get into the Instagram side of things, because this little arrow that I've just moved around will pop in and out as I try to navigate, and it's not part of Instagram. All right, so let's go to Instagram. So as you can see here, when I open Instagram, I am immediately in my home screen, right? This is my feed going up and down, right? This is my Insta story going left and right, right? And while I'm here, I'll show you the DMs. As per usual, there's one that I haven't read yet, and there's a little number 1 on it. And the hardest part about this is because I can't show you where I'm tapping, right? I can only walk you through it. So the very upper right side of the screen where that little arrow and the number 1 is where I'm tapping. And here you can see all the posts, or excuse me, all of the messages that I've received over the lifetime, right? Unless you delete them, they'll stay here, right? When you pull down, which I just did an extra pull down, it refreshes. And so just like if you use a lot of other apps, you pull down to refresh, same with Instagram. So here, if I tap that post, this is a friend of mine that has a cleaning business. And so she shared with me her post that they were doing a giveaway for her cleaning business. So I double tap it to like it. So I just like the post she shared, and then I can send her a message. If I can move the Zoom out of the way. Thanks for sharing. And click send. So I've just sent her a DM. So if you've heard that phrase before and you're wondering what that meant, that's what it meant. I just sent her a DM on my phone, and I'm just going to do this on 2 different phones because I know some of the folks on the call have iPhones. When you're in a message on an iPhone, it's the same navigation. In the upper left corner of the screen, there's an arrow that took me back to this location. And then there's also another arrow to take you back to the home screen right here. Here's the thing with Instagram. If you ever get lost in your navigation, or you started a post and you don't want to do it anymore, and you know, if all else fails, close the app. You know, you just do this and swipe up. On my phone, it's a swipe up. On some phones, it's a swipe left. It's a, whatever it is, you just close the app. And that is how you would kind of start over. So if you ever get lost in the navigation and you don't know what's going on, just close the app and like make sure you close it completely from your phone. Don't just close it here, but like swipe it off screen so it's closed and start over, right? So, all right, so I'm just gonna go across the bottom again just to show you. The very first button is my home screen, which is where it defaulted to, right? And then here is if I like, you know, this first one where this is a cartoon comic that I follow. I'm gonna like that. I just double tapped on it. If I scroll down, this is someone posted their baby, double tap to like it. And that's just kind of how you like and follow as you go, right? Oh, this is someone using a Reels, is a client of mine. And so she learned how to use Reels, which is also like a TikTok, and she's super excited, right? And so this has a music track on it. If you can hear it. And it's one tap turns off the music, it silences it, and then one tap turns it on. So in the lower right-hand corner, you can see the little mute button going on and off on the post, because sometimes you don't want to hear it. You don't have the same luxury with the Insta story. This is only in the post as you're scrolling up and down. So very next to my home screen is the search icon. Remember the spyglass? That's your Discover feed. This is where they think that, all right, you like things that are related to fitness, to food, to dance, to comic, and Instagram is constantly trying to find things to keep me interested by bringing things here. When you're on this screen, this is also where you're going to look for your friends and family or organizations. As you can see, Instagram immediately goes, it's COVID times. Do you want to know what the CDC is saying? Do you want to know what the World Health Organization is saying? They're trying to be helpful. That's the top things people are searching for, I guess, in my demographic. Right next to that is the word accounts. When I click here is where I can search for accounts. So I'm just going to search for it because I know it. Dancing Lotus is my personal account. And as I started typing it in, it started filling in other handles that match that. And so if I wanted to go to that, I just tap on it and it takes you to my personal page, right? And just to show you, we were talking about my personal page is the All About Me show because it's me, right? My business page is less so. And so this is where I'm posting things about my life. And then on my face, you see there's like a little ring around it. That's where, uh-oh, stop it, Zoom, go away. That is where my Insta stories, oh, hold on. There we go. That's where my Insta stories are. So I just posted this to my Insta story. A friend of mine has a dance class and she was giving away a free class if 3 more people signed up and she wanted to get to 1,000 followers. So I shared her post to my story to get her, try to get her some support. She actually crossed 1,000, so it worked out. And so there it just disappeared. It went back. After 24 hours, that will go away. So again, I'm done searching. I'm done looking at this profile. I hit the back arrow when Zoom's not in the way. Hit the back arrow and it brings me back to the search. If let's say we wanted to look up the Darien library, so we just look up Darien and you can see like it started pulling up. These are accounts that I already follow. They have the word following after them. So it starts there. And then apparently I need to continue searching Darien, not the community organization, the library. Here we go. Darien Library is the first one. And here we can see their post. I can open up any one of them, double tap to like. This is so cool. I've just left a comment and I go back. It's as simple as that to like and comment on something. Let's say I want to save it. Remember we talked about that save before, your bookmarks. At the very bottom, remember you've got your heart icon, the comment, the little arrow to share it. And then right next to it on the other side of the screen is the bookmark. So I've now just bookmarked it. Now you notice it's filled in and the one underneath it is not, right? That's the difference. So that's not bookmarked and that's bookmarked. So while we're talking about bookmarks, I'm going to jump for a second over to my profile because you just bookmark something. How do you find it later? So I'm going to go to my profile, which is the very last icon on the screen. right? At the very bottom in your navigation pane. I'm going all the way up on the upper right side of my screen where the 3 lines are. You notice the panel opened out. And within the panel, there's things that you may or may not see. So I have insights and activity and QR code. Some of these are only available if you have a business account. So for example, insights in your activity, not activity is available on a lot of people accounts. That shows you how much time you spend in Instagram. So this is my business account and I do not spend as much time in here. If I take you to my, I'll do it. I'm going to switch accounts really quick. So I'm going to show you on my personal side. I spend a lot of time in Instagram. Look at this. This is like 1 hour, 2 hours, 2 hours. So this is where you can really see how much time you're really spending. This is good, especially for businesses that you should be spending 20 minutes a day at least in your business account. Clearly I fail because I'm in everybody else's business account and doing their work. So I don't do it in my own. And again, my personal account is curated. So the content I want to see, the content I like is all there, not so much on my business account, right? So that's the reason why. So just to show you, that's your activity. And then going down underneath the QR code is saved. And here you can create albums if you wanted. And within here, these are all things that I've saved over a period of time of using Instagram. My personal one is filled with bookmarks, right? Of things that motivational quotes, workout things, dance classes, food recipes, lots of reasons I save stuff. And then you can organize them into albums. But on my business page, these are things that for some reason I've saved them for one reason or the other. All right. So now we've gone through the navigation. I'm going to show you 2 more things on the navigation. Since we're now on the right side of the screen, I'm going to come in one and we've got the little heart icon. Those are your notifications. So you can see here that this photo was liked by 22 other people, right? This one has 22 likes in total, 23 likes in total. You can also see that these folks and 27 other people started following me. Now, because I've already looked at these notifications, they've been combined to keep the screen less cluttered. Before, if I had new notifications, they would have been listed out in the order like this, one by one. So-and-so followed you, you know, Hidden Gem, Harbor Point, all of those will one by one say started following you. But because I've already seen these, Instagram has combined them to make this less cluttered. Because before you just see notification after notification, and then you couldn't actually find what you were looking for. So they tried to make it a little cleaner and easier. And you can see going back a little further, here's something that someone mentioned me in a comment, right? You can also, this is actually one of my last classes. I was mentioning myself as part of the test, but here's somewhere where a friend of mine mentioned me in this comment here. So you can see who's mentioned you and things like that. This one I've been tagged in. So my headshot was done by a professional shot photographer. And so he tagged me along with the other people in this. So all of these people have been tagged to either see it or because they're in it, right? So that takes me back to the activity pane. I'm just gonna go over to my feed really quick so we could start from the beginning. So we've got our feed, right? Going up and down. We've got our discover feed, right? I'm gonna refresh that because that girl's crazy. There we go. She also doesn't look so pleasant. We've got Oreos, right? Very next to that is our plus sign. And this is where I'm going to create a post. So I queued up something here that I wanted to share, and it's going to be something about search engine optimization, right? Because this is my business page, it's something business related. If this was personal, this could have been a selfie, this could have been my plants, this could have been anything. But for right now, it's going to be something business related. And so I want to go show you really quick. So when it opened up, you've got gallery, photo. So here you can see it's trying to take a picture of my keyboard or the screen, right? There's video. So again, I can take a video of something if I wanted to. Going back to photo, and then here we're going to gallery. And it's in chronological order for most recent first. And so this photo that I prepped and made ready, we're gonna post that. On the right side of the screen, it says the word next. I click next. And then from next, it gives you all these little filter options across the bottom that you see me moving. I'm swiping them to the left. If this was a photo of myself or something else, I might want to filter it. But because this is graphic design, it's, it looks fine. It doesn't need any filters. I click next. And this is where you can write a caption. So this is where I'm going to say SEO doesn't have to be complex. Oh, typos. Here are some quick, easy things you can do yourself. Period. Right? That's my caption. I'm now going to add the hashtag SEO. Well, when I get it in there, SEO. And notice that it starts to, the drop down starts changing and it's starting to say, oh, you're starting to type something. Here are some hashtags we think you'd be interested in. So SEO on its own has 4 million public posts. So that's a high trending hashtag. I want to use that. The rest of these look like they might be Asian or something. I don't recognize them, so I wouldn't want to use them. I use what I know. How about business? Business. Now I can leave it at business, but I'm actually thinking business made easy. Oh, here it is, business made simple. I'll use that one. That one looks good. I know this is about websites, so I'm going to type in web development. Web developer, but I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about websites. So web development, that has 2 million public posts. So that's the right one that I want. Sometimes you want to be careful if you look out for typos. Sometimes hashtags do have typos in them, but they're still trending because people are using them. So even though it has a typo in it and it's a trending hashtag, you might still want to use it. And then this last one I'm going to write is support small businesses, because I always like to support small businesses. That has 20 million posts. Now that I've supported small businesses, I've put in my hashtags, I want to tag people. So for right now, I'm only going to tag, I'm actually going to go tag my personal page just so you could see it in action. So I'm going to click tag people. And if this was a photo of actual people, or if it's, you can just tap anywhere, and Google, or excuse me, Instagram is asking, who is this? So here I'm just going to start typing. It defaults because I've used it before. It's right up top, but I can finish typing it all in. There it is. So now I'm tagged, and you can move this around. You can tag up to anywhere from 10 to 25 people. It depends on whether you're in your Insta story or here. I usually say stick to 10. You can do more, but around 10 is where you start to get a little fatigued around who do I need to tag and how do I tag them. If you're in business, you're going to want to do this research first before you get to the tagging page, and actually make sure that you have your list ready to go, because you're not going to be able to jump around Instagram back and forth while you're in this section. All right, so I'm done here, and in the upper right side of the screen there's a check mark. I'm going to hit that. So here you can see there's a tag people, my name is in there. For locations, I'm just going to click, it's defaulted to Stanford because I'm in Stanford, I live in Stanford. I'm just going to click that. But let's say I didn't want Stanford. I hit the X there, tap it again. Darien's defaulted because I'm on the Darien border, and since we're talking about the library, we're actually going to tag, I can tag the actual library if I want as a location. There's a Darien library, or I can tag the general location as Darien, Connecticut. Now this is GPS driven. As I mentioned, where I am right now is I'm very close to the Darien border. So that's what they realize, that, oh, you're near Darien. But if you'll notice, there's all these businesses that are showing up. These are all things that are nearby, or places that I've been, or places that I've tagged that are in close vicinity to where I am. Instagram's trying to make it easy for you. So let's say you're out and you're hiking and you're like, oh, I took this beautiful scenery of the foliage and I want to post that. When you go to find the location, it may default and then you may have to type it in. It just depends on how good your signal is where you are. So I'm going to put in Darien because we're in the Darien library and we're right here. And then lastly, you've got these buttons along the bottom that you can reshare this simultaneously to other platforms. So first I'm going to turn on Facebook. And then I actually want to always share. That's a new thing that pops up every now and then. I notice it turned blue, so I just want to turn it off. Let's say I change my mind. I don't want this to go to Facebook, but I change my mind again, and I do. So I just hit that button. I'm all done. I don't have my Twitter connected, and I don't use Tumblr. There are advanced settings here, but again, none of these I really need. You can turn off commenting. People do this, especially if they're posting something that is controversial, that could be controversial, they can turn off commenting, so it just saves the internet trolls. Some people turn it off just because they don't want to field comments at all. They think it's annoying. It's really up to you. And if it's a photo that you don't want anybody to comment on, let me make sure that's on. I want commenting on, so I'm going to leave it there. Now I'm done. The upper right side of the screen is the word share. And in a minute, it's going to refresh. And there it is. So you can see Edge Space Marketing just posted. When I tap on the little people icon on the left, you can see in this photo, I've tagged another account, which in this case is just my personal account. But let's say I'm done posting and I realize, oh my God, there's a typo in my caption. What do? You go to the post. You can either do it from your feed or from your profile, right? So if I open up my profile, I click on the post. Remember those 3 little dots in the upper right corner for more options? I'm clicking the 3 little dots, and now there's other options here, but most importantly, I want to edit it. And 2 things I want to edit. The first thing I want to do is tag the Darien Library, because I didn't tag them the first time around. So I'm going to tap on the little tag icon again, which is in the lower left of the screen, the little person in the gray head. I'm just going to tag the Darien Library. There we go. I'm gonna put that one over there just for balance. Hit my check mark, I'm done. Hit my check mark again. All edits done, right? So that's how, if you need to change something in your caption, in your tagging, in your location, how you can do it. I do get this question, and I want to say this. If after you create this graphic or you have words on your graphic and you find a typo, the only thing you can do is archive or delete that post and do it again, because it's already, you can't change the image itself. You can change the caption, the location, the tags, but you cannot change the image once it's been posted. So early on when I started this business, I would sometimes miss typos and the post would be out there, and then we'd have to lose everything and start all over because it was a major typo. Right? And so typos happen, but especially if you're using words, just be really careful, because you'll have to delete it and start over. So that was a lot. So I'm going to stop right here for a second and ask if there's any questions. Go ahead, Lee. Let me unmute. Can you unmute, or do you want me to unmute you? Hold on. Unmute. Hold on. Did you get up? There you go.
Yeah, I got it. Well, let's go back to the, if you're hashtagging a list of people, company A, B, C, D, E, and so forth, and I do that for most of what I post, is there a way to save that list? And the same thing with tagging. Each time you tag, you got to go through you got to go back to the dictionary, in other words, and find the whole group again, which is annoying.
Yeah. So for the caption, what if, for example, that doesn't have a lot. I have some that have more captions on them. Let's say this one, just for argument's sake.
Sure.
Actually, this one, because this one I did in IGTV, and I want this caption plus the caption. If I hit the 3 dots, and I hit edit, if I long press on my phone, I can then copy everything. And then it gives me a thing to copy. And then in this case, if you're only copying, make sure you hit the X and not the check mark, because in case you accidentally made an edit, you don't want it to go live. Like if you move text around or something. And then you would then open up like a note-taking app on your phone.
Yeah.
Somewhere over here. Where are my note-taking apps? Somewhere here I have a note-taking app, and then you would paste it there.
Yeah,
That's how,
Is there a way to do that for the tagging or not?
No, for the tagging, what I end up doing is, I have a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm writing it all down, and then I know who I want to come. That's what I was talking about from the research side of things. The reason you want to be careful though with the copying and pasting of hashtags is that you can get shadow banned for a hashtag, meaning you've overused it, or Instagram has realized you're copy and pasting the same ones over and over again. And so it realizes that you're not organically using it. And so they're trying to top down on bots and people abusing the platform. So you want to vary your hashtags. There are some you're going to use over and over, like they're your business or their niche or it's a location, but there's other ones that you're going to want to vary as much as possible.
Good to know.
Cool.
And also on the locations,
Mm-hmm.
I can't type in, for example, if I wanted to put, well, Darien Library, you can type in, it'll pop up out of the list.
Mm-hmm.
I can't vary it. I have to use their list, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because the list is tied to, I think it's tied to Google Maps. And well, actually, let me take that back. It's tied to the Facebook maps, like Facebook within Facebook has its own mapping for businesses and locations. And then that's tied to Google Maps. And so if a business doesn't actually have their location set up on Facebook, sometimes you can't find the business. You're like, where is that business?
Right.
It's because it's not set up in Facebook. Or a friend of mine called me a few months ago, a coffee shop she had visited. The location for that was, it's in Syracuse, and it was mapping all the way to like Wisconsin or something.
Right. Yeah.
And she said, why is it doing that? And when we looked at the Facebook location, that had a typo in it. And once we fixed it there, it fixed it on Instagram, because that's all coming from, oh, sorry, stop sharing on my phone. It's all coming from Google Maps at the same time.
Okay.
Okay. So any other questions here?
I have a question about the hashtags.
Yeah.
If you were saying something, or tagging someone versus putting in their Instagram name.
Mm-hmm. In the caption itself.
Yeah, if you want to, I've seen people take a look at this at so-and-so, so-and-so. What's the difference between doing that and tagging someone, and why would you do one or the other?
Yeah, so what I did here, where I tagged these people, this list of people, what that does is on their profile, I'm just going to show you on my profile, you've got on the right side of the screen, first you've got your square, that's your profile square. Then this is your IGTV in the middle. And actually, I didn't cover this in the demo, and I should have in the lecture. IGTV will only show up when you've posted an IGTV. So notice the next one over doesn't say Reels. If I had actually posted a Reels video, then it would show up as Reels next to it. And then the last one, these are things I've been tagged in, right? So different pages or people. So my aerial fitness instructor tagged me last year when I went to class, right? She tagged both my business and my personal. And so I can choose whether or not I don't want it to see like tag options and stuff. I don't really care. So I left it, right? So these are things I've been tagged. So that's why when you tag somebody this way in this list, it shows up in their profile over here.
Okay.
Right? If you tag them in the caption, which I'm going to show you, this is a Darien business. And in the caption of food, we tag other food bloggers here in this list. It doesn't show up on their profile because, one, we're not trying to clutter up their profile. We're just trying to get their attention, because they're not actually, they didn't take the photo. They're not affiliated with us, but we're just trying to get their attention so that they could come in, maybe experience the place, maybe talk about it, those kind of things, right? And so we put them in the list here. So they'll get a notification, someone tagged you in a post, but we won't clutter up their feed with stuff that's not really related to them in their profile, right?
Is that a better way to do it?
Yes and no. It has its pros and cons. I do find that if you tag them in the actual image itself, you get better traction.
Right.
So a friend of mine, her husband's photographer, he tags on the photo itself, and he gets a lot of traction on his stuff, because it's like it gets reshared. It gets like another way of getting their attention. So if you think of in the Instagram world, there's like and there's super like, right? So there's attention, and now you think of like you get a super attention from them. They're more likely to post it because you've tagged them in it, right? But again, it just depends on how you want to get in that direction.
Okay. Could you do two things if you have time, please?
Sure.
And I don't mean to take up all the time, so if there's somebody else, please go to them. Can you go over, you also go to the bookmark thing and review that one more time, please?
Sure.
And also, if there's time and you can do a dummy story.
Yeah, I'm going to do that next, actually.
Could you walk through that? That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do a dummy story next. That's the last thing we'll talk about.
Fine, sorry.
No, you're good. So from your profile page, right? This is my profile. Remember the button way down on the right. Yep. In the upper right corner, there are 3 lines. When you click 3 lines, it's the word saved, and you notice the icon is the same icon as the bookmark. And here, I don't have mine organized into collections. You can actually create collections from this. You can actually create albums. So if I wanted to organize all the dance stuff in one, the yoga fitness in one, art in another, I can do that. I don't necessarily care to, so I don't, but there are people who have this very curated and organized with things and topics the way they want it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I just want you to see, you notice while I'm in here, there was a little drop down that says somebody started a live video. When you go to your home screen, let me refresh. Well, I guess they must have stopped already. Right next to where it says Alex Fit Life, there would be something that says so-and-so is live. I'm going to go over to my personal page because I think that's where that one came from. Yeah, here. Notice you see like two people are live right now. Interior Design and Women's Health Magazine are both live at the same moment, right? And so now they're going live with someone, because the new feature of Instagram Live is you can actually go live and actually have a live conversation and people are watching. So in some ways people do podcasting or live interviews. It's another way of people creating some interaction within Instagram that they would normally do, like, come to this lecture and I'm going to interview so-and-so. They now do it on Instagram. I'm going to switch back to my business page really quick. And before I switch into doing Insta stories, I just do want to check if there's any other questions from anyone. Nope. All right, so let's post an Insta story. So you remember from here, there's a little blue plus sign. I'm just wiggling the screen so you can see the blue plus sign over my logo in the left side of the screen. That's like the very first time you're going to post an Insta story, you'll see that plus sign. You're going to eventually say, Nalini, the plus sign disappeared. I don't know what to do. How do I post? It's happened to me when I first started using it. And so I don't even use the blue plus sign. It's just, I don't even make it a habit. I go over to my home screen right here. In the way upper left side of the screen, there's a camera icon. And I click the camera icon, and now I'm looking at myself because it immediately defaults to selfie mode. So I'm going to switch the camera, which is on my phone. Let me bring up the iPhone really quick. Same thing. On the right side of the screen at the bottom, there is this camera with an arrow on it. And I just tap that and it reverses the camera. So now I can take a picture of you guys. Right? So now that's a still, or I can discard it. So I just hit the back arrow on my phone. iPhones are a little different. So I just want to show you that really quick. So on this phone, this is an Android, in the upper left corner of the screen, there's an X, if you see that. Or on my phone, I have a back arrow on the bottom of my screen. On an iPhone, for those of you who are using iPhones, let me just do a quick. I just took a selfie still just so that we can, I just want to show you. In the upper, you can't even see very well, but in the upper left side of the screen, yours is on the left side, the X arrow. So the same thing, just X out if you don't want to use it anymore. Android users, you've got the arrow at the bottom of your screen, or you can X out. Notice when I X out, I get the word discard or keep. Sometimes, especially on Androids, you hit that back arrow by accident. You really don't want to leave the screen. You were trying to do something else. So Instagram's making sure you don't accidentally throw away something you don't want. So you can say keep, and it brings you right back here. Or if I do it again and I hit discard, it brings up the camera again. So I'm actually going to post a picture of my bamboo because it's pretty. There we go. So I've got a bamboo next to me, and there it is. Now here's something that you can do, because notice it fills up the whole screen, and I want a place to put some captions or something. Before you do anything, at the barest minimum, you can post this just like this. See the button that says send to? When I hit that, it actually asks me, do I want to send this to my story? Do I want to send a like to a close friends list? Some people do this, especially if it's something private or about their children. They do this and they identify who they can see. Or I can send it as a direct message to someone else, right? Or another business page. I don't really use this feature. I don't know a lot of people that do, like, take an Insta story photo and send it. Some people do. I take a photo and send it to my Insta story. Now, I'm just going to post this first one just as is so you can see. If I click send to, and it goes to my Insta story, and then I click done. Did you notice how my logo now has that red ring around it? That's how you know you have an active Insta story. So if I go back here, same thing. And I hope you notice the blue plus sign is gone. Now I want to post again. because I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot to put my location in, or maybe I want to post something else. I'm going to actually post the same bamboo, but do it differently. So I'm going to go back to my home page. I'm going to hit my camera. I'm going to take another picture of it. There it is. Okay. Now I want to put some stickers and things like that, but I don't know if I want it to fill up the whole screen. Sometimes you don't. If you take 2 fingers and pinch, you can modify and manipulate this photo. You can move it, you can shrink it, you can make it bigger. Sometimes I like to do like this, so I have room to type across the top if I want to put a caption in, right? And so, and also the reason I'm doing this is so you can see the icons across the top, because these are all important. So the first one is, this is if you want to put a filter on it. So if you notice, I click the little heart things, move out of the way, right? This is making it black and white with some effects. So these are effects, right? You sometimes see this from, see, that's kind of cool. That one's kind of cool as the way it is on my bamboo. I might leave that one. You see, this effect was kind of came over from Snapchat. You see people do it where they take selfie videos or selfie pictures and there's like hearts flying out of their eyes. That might be from Snapchat. That might be from one of the effects that we just put on it. So now my bamboo has a little effect on it. I think it's cool. I'm going to keep it. This next icon is a link, right? Now you can put the link in and it links to your IGTV video. So because I have a IGTV video uploaded, I got that option. Many of you, if you're doing this with me, you don't have this option because you don't have an IGTV video posted. And I want you to notice what just happened. When I click the IGTV video, I hit the X mark and I must have double tapped the X because I actually got a pop-up on the screen that says, are you sure you want to discard or save? Once you see that discard or save message, just know that you are actually going to leave your Insta story. So if you've made a bunch of edits, you're going to lose them if you click discard. So just keep that in mind if you accidentally hit that. With iPhone users, this is a little tricky because you don't have back arrows and stuff. So sometimes you end up throwing it away and starting over. Android users, because you have the back arrow, it's a little easier to kind of course correct if you accidentally hit that button. So for Lee, remember earlier we were talking about you want to download it before you put your effects on it. That's that icon in the middle of the screen that has the arrow and the line underneath it. If you see that on the screen, it's the fourth icon in. You've got X, a smiley face with some sparkles, a little paper clip, and then you've got the arrow pointing down with your line underneath.
I'm on an iPhone.
Okay.
So it's a little different.
Oh, sorry. So on an iPhone, it should be the first icon. So I've got an X, and then it's still the down arrow with the line underneath.
X with the down line. All right, can I pull this from, let's say I did something. I shot a picture of your bamboo, and I posted that, and you made a comment on that, and I wanted to add that to my story. Can I do that?
The comment or the post?
The whole thing, because let's say you put the picture up and then you said, oh my gosh, this is beautiful, and you added something to it or a comment.
Yeah.
And then can I add that whole thing to my story?
The answer is yes, if you have the most updated version of Instagram. And I'll show you that in a second. Okay. So I had a friend of mine who needed to get a new phone, and he was complaining about why can't he share to his Insta story. And it was because he had an old phone that couldn't take the newest update to Instagram. Okay. When he got the new phone that had the newest update, because it was a new software, he had all the features. So that is a little nuanced. The answer is yes, only if you have the absolute latest version. And I'll show you how to do that next. Okay. So here I put my effect on it, and you notice that while I'm tapping on, like as I'm swiping up, things are happening, right? This is what I call the sticker drawer. These are all called stickers. Swipe up is one way to get to it, but it's also on my phone. See the little smiley face that has a little thing on the bottom that's supposed to indicate it's like a sticker peeling? When you tap that, this is where you get more stickers of things you can put. So remember earlier, I wanted to put the temperature in. Here I can put 66 degrees and I can put it right there if I want, but you can't really see it. So maybe I shrink the picture down so you can see it if that's what I want it to do. 2 fingers to move and manipulate to make things bigger. The downside of this is sometimes, like you do what I do, I make it crooked and then I can't straighten it back out. So it ends up staying crooked. Just the way my fingers are, it does that. I want to put in my location, right? And then this is where I talked about how specific or generic you want to get. I normally will not tag my house address, but because we're doing this for the Darien Public Library, we're going to tag the Darien Library. For those who are doing this for business or just because you find the stickers clutter up your screen, but you still want to use it, here's a little trick. You grab it and there's a little art to getting it completely off the screen. If you can get it. Sometimes other things happen. If you can see, I got it stuck where it's stuck between some panels and I can't quite grab it. So that's what I mean about it being nuanced. I got it kind of off the screen, but not enough off the screen that it's like not in my way, right? So that can happen. So like I said, that's an art. Because we're doing this for demo, I don't care. If I was doing this for a real, like for my business and I really cared about it, this is the point where I would throw away the post and start all over again, right? So
How do you add the location?
You hit your little sticker and type the word location.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And actually, and yeah, so look, it brought it out a little more. So I'm going to try again and I'm going to do it down here where the panels aren't in the way. Oh, all right. That's as close as it's going to get off the screen. So that way it doesn't clutter up your screen. Now, lots of things are happening because I'm tapping the screen. If you swipe left, notice there are words popping up and the whole picture is changing. These are filters. So if you keep going, there's about 12 of them and they're based on location. Abu Dhabi, Buenos Aires, New York, Jaipur, Cairo, Tokyo, Rio de Janeiro, and then now it's normal again. So if you accidentally activate a filter and you don't like it, just keep swiping. You will eventually get back to normal. So, and then you can go the other way if you want it. So here we are, we're back to normal. This icon next to, on my phone, next to the sticker. So again, on your iPhone users, it's also next to your sticker. It's a little squiggly thing. This opens up a marker so you can draw on the screen. You ever notice that you see people doing stuff like this? And so I'm just going to hit the undo button in the upper left to take that off because I don't want to do that. People do this sometimes if they're taking a screenshot of something specific. Like, so for example, on my bamboo behind it, there are Post-its and things that perhaps I don't want that information to be seen. I can then take this and kind of blur it out, or some people put stickers or other things to cover it up. That's one way to do it. So we're just going to take that off. I don't need any markers, and I'm just going to hit the check mark because I'm done. Now I want to add a caption. The very last icon across your top, even for your iPhone users, is a capital A and a small a. When you tap that, this is where you would write your caption. My bamboo looks great and keeps me motivated while I'm teaching classes, right? That's one thing I can write. And then I'm gonna, because I feel like it, throw in a hashtag, Instagram for novices. And notice that, you noticed before there's a pop-up of Instagram. These are handles that people have used before. Now I'm just making up my own, so I'm just gonna write Instagram for novices. And then I'm going to tag the library at Darien Library. Here we are. Now that's one way to do it. So I've written a caption, I've put a hashtag in, and I've tagged the location or the organization. Now, on the left side of the screen, you see there's a line with a circle on it. That's helping you size your font so you can make it really big. This is what I was talking about when people want to rant. Or make it really small, really, really small, or somewhere in the middle. And then you hit here you could also modify the font. Like if I click through along the bottom, you see those, it's changing the style. So these are styles that I kind of like this font. It looks a little fun, right? And then I'm also like, it's kind of hard to read. I want to change the color. In the middle of the screen at the top, there's a color wheel. And I'm just going to do it on my iPhone to make sure it's still the same thing. On the iPhone, it's slightly different. On the iPhone, your color wheel's on the bottom. It's kind of hard to see here, but on the iPhone, for iPhone users, where my font is changing on the bottom here, for for iPhone users, this is where your color changes. Also, where you're changing your font for iPhone users is at the top in the center of the screen. It defaults on my case, and I'm going to try to show you. It's going to be really hard to see. You can't see it on the camera. It says classic. So for modern, neon. So let me just reiterate that. On an Android, at the top, I've got my color wheel and like another A. That is on an iPhone where you would see the word classic, neon, typewriter. Those are where your font is changing. On the Android, your font is changing in the middle of the screen at the bottom here. On an iPhone, this is your color wheel. This is where you're changing your colors, right? The other thing that's really interesting about your colors is, let's say I decide to change this to green because it matches my bamboo, but it's still a little hard to read. You can invert those colors. So in the middle of my screen at the top, you see the A with the plus plus. I don't know what it's called. It's just an A with the plus plus. If I tap that, notice that it does a little squiggly thing in the back. It gives it a background. If I change my font, like, let me get out of here really quick, tap it again, and now I'm stuck in the color wheel. I tap the A again. If I change it, notice how it changes the background, right? And so this, again, on the iPhone, it's a little different. Your navigations, they're the same icons, they're just in different places. And so if you're still stuck with that, I'll put my contact details up and we can chat about that offline because it can get a little nuanced. So this one, notice how I changed the font, but the little white thing still makes it hard to read. So let me do this. Kind of like how that one looks. And now I'm going to shrink it again. Hit my little check mark, put it up here. And now I don't really care for the temperature. Let me move that. I can grab the temperature, and all the way down in the bottom of the screen is a little trash box. I dropped it in the trash, put my bamboo in, make it a little bigger. And I could post it just like this, or I can also add a Jiffy. People like Jiffies because they're interactive, right? So these are things that kind of wiggle and blip, and it gives it a little bit more of an interesting feeling. And because I love plants, I'm going to look for one that says plants. And I like this one that says plant power. It matches my message, right? I'm going to put it right here. And so those are a lot of the features you could do with your Insta story. You click send to your story and done. And so now when it's done circling, when I tap my Insta story, here's the first one. And then I tap on the right side of the screen. There's the second one. And it plays for 10 seconds. And then it goes away, right? So if I open it up again, I go forward to see the next one. And I tap the left side of the screen to go back. That's how you navigate in an Insta story. While we're here, I just want to show you across the top, if you can see there are two lines, right? One is filled in white and one is kind of, you can see it's time counting. This space across the top of your page, what I'm doing right now is I've got my finger on the screen and I'm holding it down. That is how you pause the Insta story. So I'm pausing it so that it doesn't go all over the place. The space across the top of your screen is divided by the number of posts that you've posted. So I'm letting go again. I'm going to go back. Notice that I have two solid lines because I've got two posts. And so if I post a third one, it will be divided by 3, 4, 5. So if you ever open up somebody's Insta story, and I'll open up one of these other ones. See how this one has 4? So that's 1 post, 2, 3, 4. And then when I tap it again, did you notice that the screen did like a twirl? It's because it's changing accounts. That's how you know. When it's just moving solidly side to side, it's in the same account. And when the screen does like a rotate or a twirl, that is when it's going to the next account in chronological order across the top. So that's the first part. And to Lee's question about how do I post to the, how do I post my post to an Insta story, right? So here's my SEO, right? And see the little share icon? Remember, you've got your heart, your comments, and your share icon. I've got this option here that says add post to story. And I just tap that. It colors in the background, whatever color it picked from your palette. You can resize it. If you tap it, it gives you a different display option. So I'm gonna like this because I like the caption to kind of show. And again, I can post it just as is, or you can do all kinds of stuff with stickers and other things. So if I look up SEO as a sticker, because I like Jiffies, and I see if there's anything in here that kind of, here we go. This is all marketing, right? It's a marketing funnel: reach, engage, activate, nurture. That's all part of marketing. It's kind of related. So that's why I'm using it. And then I'm just going to send this to my story. So now remember, I just did another story. I just want to show you really quick. If I go back, no, not Zoom. If I go back and I tap it, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to pause it here. Do you see across the top now we've got 3 lines? That's how you know what's going on. Now, I just want to show you while I'm talking to you, if you can see there's 3 little Instagram icons that popped up in my notifications. Those are probably notifications, push notifications. See, I've got, she sent me a post, she sent me a message, and then somebody wants to send me a message, right? Those are all Instagram notifications coming in from Instagram because I have push notifications turned on. Other accounts, like there's a third account in here that I have all notifications turned off. This very last one that has 63. It says 63 on it because there's 63 notifications in there for me to go look at, but I'm not actually actively using that account, so I don't care. So, but I'm just holding the page name. So that's one reason why it looks that way. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of how you use Instagram to some detail. I know that was a lot to process, so I'm going to pause for 1 second before we get into the closing. Any other questions or review you'd like me to go over? The more you use it, the easier it gets, and the navigation becomes very simple, right? And my suggestion that I always tell people is start by posting to your feed, get comfortable with using your feed, then move on to your Insta story, get comfortable using your Insta story. And in the midst of all of that, learn how to use the DMs because people might be sending you things and you might not see it, right? Those are kind of the order of the best way to make use of Instagram, because if you try to do it all at once, like you said, it's overwhelming. And you just kind of tackle it one little snippet at a time. Get comfortable with posting in your feed, hashtagging, tagging people. If you are a voyeur, if you're on Instagram just to look, and that's not enough. A lot of people are on Instagram just to look. If you look at my personal Instagram page, for a whole year I didn't post, but I could tell you everything that's going on because I'm on there a lot, watching Insta stories, liking, commenting, but I never post. There's a lot of users that never post, but they know very well how to use it to find information. I love plants, and so a lot of my Instagram time is spent looking at plants, plant care, other plant mommies, that kind of stuff. So you might find it a rabbit hole once you get used to it.